My name is Allie Sherman. Today is Thursday, March 12th, 2015, and my topic today is whether or not the U.S. federal government should increase its development of the Earth's moon in one of the following areas: energy, minerals, and or water. So, there are many benefits in looking to the moon to solve some of Earth's problems. We're going to be talking about some of the science backing of the moon, of developing the moon, such as energy, minerals, and water. We're going to be talking about some cultural issues as well. Should it be the U.S. government's place to be involved? We will find out. The U.S. government should look to the moon for resources like energy, minerals, and water because there are many scientific and educational benefits that can advance our Earth. So first we're going to talk about some minerals that we can get from the moon. The moon has a lot of iron oxide and titanium oxide. The total abundance of titanium on the moon is not known at this point, but there's data figures that say there's the range of titanium on the moon is from 1% to more than 10%, and the highest concentration of titanium that we have on the Earth is 3%. So, according to a article published from the New York Times on June 6, 2014, scientists believe that the moon could hold oxygen, hydrogen, iron, and rare metals, as well as possibly helium-3. And helium-3 is a resource that is super rare on Earth, but it could be much more common on the moon. And that's super important because helium-3 has like a lot of potential things that we could use it for. There's also a lot of mineral differences between the Earth and the moon. So we're looking at the moon right now. If we could use the minerals, like the titanium deposits on the surface of the moon, and comparing them to the ones on Earth, because it has a possibility of telling us where the moon came from, because there's some questions about where the moon came from. So now we're going to talk about some water. NASA says there's potentially 2 types of water on the moon, and one is brought from the outside. So that could mean like comets striking the surface of the moon, and those comets could have water on them. So that's one possibility of why water would be there. And another possibility would be that the water originated on the moon. Since our Earth is almost 71% water, scientists view the moon as, or the water on the moon rather, as evidence to do further testing and experiments on. We're going to talk about some energy now. There's some companies in Japan called the Shimizu Corporation, and they're looking at the potential to develop solar energy from the moon. So on Earth, we all have heard of like the annoying phone calls that we get at all times of the day about trying to put solar energy on our house. So if we put solar energy on the moon, that would be 100 times better, because on Earth, the solar energy, we can only get it at night, but in space, it's dark all the time. So we have 24 hours a day, 7 days a week access to the sun. So if we put more solar power and energy on the moon, that would be so much more economically viable, because it could potentially end our reliance on some of our limited natural resources on the Earth. According to another article published by Channel 4 News in Canada on June 23rd, 2014, they say that the moon could provide a base for wider space exploration because it would be much easier and cheaper to launch missions from the moon rather than the Earth, because it only has 1/6 of Earth's gravity and no atmosphere. So that's pretty cool too. So now we're going to talk about some issues. There's an issue with who owns the moon, because the moon is visible to all humans on any given night with a clear sky. Since the moon is Earth's, how do countries plan to share the room on the Earth? Or the moon, sorry. There's also an issue of a great space race, because we've all heard of the Great Space Race in the 1960s, and it was basically a global competition to see which country could get to the moon first. Now that most countries have already been to the moon, this question comes next. What will happen when countries start to plan to develop the moon? Will we have another space race on our hands? And who's going to successfully complete the development of the moon? That's what the U.S. government's trying to figure out. But at this point, only time can tell. So, the United States may have put the first man on the moon, but the world's space agencies, including the Europeans, the Chinese, and the Russians, are all gazing at a new goal of setting up a colony on the moon. The US government should look to the moon for resources like energy, minerals, and water because there are so many scientific and educational benefits that can advance our Earth. We talked about the scientific benefits in extracting the energy, minerals, and water from the moon, as well as the educational benefits and the possibility of another space race. We also have some government concerns with who owns the moon and how that's all going to play out. So, that's my speech. Thanks for watching.